Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Playbook for Performance podcast. I'm your host, Shauna Corden, and my mission is to make work fun again by building better leaders. So, if you've been around for a while, you know we're in the middle of our 20-week challenge. This is week 11, and this 20-week challenge is all about building your resilience. And this week, we're going to be talking about preparation and protection. But before I jump into that, I want to let you know that my new book should be out on Amazon. Meet Me in the Middle. And this is a guide to overcome polarization. So if you want to know more about polarization, what happens, how to overcome it, how to prevent it, you can find it out there on Amazon, and we'll put the link below. So on to today's topic, preparation and protection. So that sounds like a strange topic. What is it about? Well, when we have things that we value, we want to make sure that we are protecting those things. And we're well prepared on that because in the field of project management, we do something called risk management. So let's get into it. When do I suggest this lesson? Well, if you're exhausted from not having a system, you're kind of reinventing the wheel every time, this is a really good method for that. If you're always playing catch up, or if you're feeling at risk, kind of like one eye on the future and one looking over your shoulder like, ugh, is this going to come back and bite me? This is a really good time to take the time and invest in protecting yourself. So, some real key categories where this might show up are around worry. So let me back up and talk about worry for a bit. Gay Hendricks, is it Gay Hendricks? I'm pretty sure. Gay Hendricks talks about this really well. I wish I could name which book it is, but talks about this whole idea that if we're worried about something, we're kind of praying for what we don't want. And so we really need to look at what is the likelihood that this thing is going to happen? And is there any action I can take on this? And if the likelihood is low, or if we can't take any action, we are really wasting our time. We're just feeding anxiety that doesn't need to be there. So, for example, if you are really concerned about your kids driving home late at night, can you do something to prevent it? Well, you could make them stay home and have all the friends at your place. You could make sure that your car is really well maintained, that it has all the safety mechanisms. But what is the percentage likelihood that your child will be in an accident during those hours? Depends. How far are they traveling? What's the traffic like? Are they at risk from other drivers who may be drinking? Things like that. But you can really narrow things down and take action. But if you can't take action and it's just unproductive anxiety, I invite you to either give it to God and let God take care of it, or mentally put it in a box and put the box on the shelf. You can see it there. In your mind's eye, you can see the worry there, but you're giving yourself permission to move to another area. Now, the things that you can take action on, this is what this lesson is really about. We want to look at all the risks that are out there, and we want to apply management strategies to this. So I'm not going to give you a big project management lesson today, but when we look at risk management, we generally try to catalog all the risks that exist, and then we want to assign a management strategy to them. For example, insurance. Most of us have health insurance. We choose to have this insurance because if there was a possibility that we could become seriously ill or injured, the expenses that would be associated with that could be quite dramatic. But by paying a relatively small amount each month, we are limiting our financial exposure in a situation like that. Same with a car. A car is, I don't want to call it an asset because it doesn't earn us any money, but it probably helps us get to where we earn money. That's a big investment. And if you were to be in an accident and you didn't have insurance, you would lose all of your investment that was made in that vehicle. Another strategy is something called mitigation. And that is basically, how can we make that smaller? How can we reduce the likelihood of that incident happening? And then there's acceptance. There's just like, yeah, this could happen. And that's pretty much what we do when it comes to our hearts, right? We say, I am totally in love with this person and I trust them. And we accept that it comes with the risk of getting hurt, right? But it's worth it. So that's why we do it. So this is how we want to look at all of the things that are in our lives that we want to protect. Okay. So some opportunities include insurance. So you could have long-term health insurance. You could have life insurance, either term or whole. You could have vehicle insurance, health insurance, an umbrella policy, things like that. I'm not an insurance salesperson. There's a lot of opportunities out there, but you have to balance what you can afford with your possible exposure. Systems. So for a long time, when my husband started to lose his ability to read close with age, I would have this little Post-it note on the back of our door that said, Johnny, do you have your glasses? Because we would inevitably show up to like a restaurant that's dim, and he had trouble reading the menu. And at that point, I didn't need my glasses, but clearly I do now. So that could be something. It could be you have a little checklist. I've got a colleague who I adore who is the master of checklists because he hates wasting time. And so whenever it comes to packing for a trip or preparing for his kids' tournaments or something like that, he's got a system. What needs to be packed, when, what order, etc. There's things like health. So, for example, do you take supplements? How frequently do you see your physician for checkups? When do you do follow-up? How do you exercise? How do you monitor your diet? Things like that. And then your environment. Your environment around you is so important. It helps determine our attitude each day. So what are you doing to protect your environment? And part of this blends into health. That's why I put it together. Are you drinking enough water? Are you eating nutritious food? Is your temperature in your home to your liking? Today we visited some tenants, and even though it's like 40 degrees, it's cold here. And I know it's colder in other places, but they were wearing shorts in their home. And I was like, I'm usually wearing a sweater, maybe a jacket in my home, because we tend to keep our heat lower. So that could be part of it. So think about those things that you really want to protect. When I'm away from home, there are some things that I really miss. I miss my espresso machine, my Tempur-Pedic bed, things like that. And that's part of my environment that I have invested in for both my health and in my enjoyment. So the other thing is a plan B. So, and this is an opportunity for those of you who don't have a plan B. I do have a course that I teach. It's a very webinar, 1 hour based course that helps people prepare a plan B. And I've forgotten who said this, but they said, if you don't have a plan B, your plan A isn't risky enough, so you're not being daring enough and putting yourself really out there and doing all that you're really capable of. But plan B is, if you should lose your position, if you should have to take a break, what are you going to do? And this plan B process, helps you with your networking and things like that. So if you're interested in that, just send me a note. I'm happy to share. And you can reach me at shauna@shaunacorden.com or podcast@shaunacorden.com, and Michelle will get that to me. So why do we want to do this? Why do we want to be protected? Well, when we're protected, it gives us a lot of freedom. we can relax a little bit. Our shoulders can go down, gives us peace of mind. We sleep better at night, and we're prepared. So we're not afraid that we're going to lose everything if we're protected in that way. And the most important thing of this is that you don't have to do this all at once. Just take some small steps forward each day that help protect what you've worked so hard for and what you've developed in your life. So, one of the tips that I want to give about this is that if you choose one project at a time, you can leverage what worked really well for you and pivot to the next step in your project. So, for example, you might want to pick doing your will first. And then once that's established, you've done that really well, then you can look at a trust. You can do your home insurance, and then you can look at your vehicle insurance and those kinds of reviews and things like that. If you're looking at supplements for health, you could then, look at working with a trainer to optimize your, physical makeup, things like that. So, it's a rewarding lesson. It's not the funnest of all the lessons, I will say that. But it does give you peace of mind, and peace of mind is one of those things that we really are striving for as we build our resilience, right? Anxiety and worry really take a lot of energy out of us. And so the more that we can free ourselves from that worry, the more resilient we'll really be. So if this is your first time and you enjoyed this lesson, please invite others, tell them about the podcast or our YouTube channel. I firmly believe that a rising tide lifts all boats, and we want to grow together. We don't want to outgrow our community. And again, if you want that theme sheet, you can just put a note below in the comments, and we'll get that out to you. Okay, take care till next week, everybody. See you then.